have children doing it. Surprised it's not on Sports Center.
You think putting on 50 sweaters is stupid? Really? Yes, it is, kids. It's stupid. Yeah. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, no flagrant for Victor Wembanyama. The World Cup is set to start, and Tim Legler joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with last night's Game 4 in the Stanley Cup Final Series. The Carolina Hurricanes even that series at 2-2 by beating Las Vegas in Las Vegas 5-3. Carolina took a 2-0 lead within the first 4 minutes of the game, and as usual in this series, that lead evaporated. It was 3-3 in the second period. And in the third period, Carolina's Jordan Staal got what turned out to be the game winner. Wilbon, what do you make of how the Hurricanes did it, and who has the edge at the moment?
And there's no edge. It's 2-2. These are two terrific teams who have been great in the playoffs, and I have no idea who has an edge because there's no edge. It's 2-2. I will say this. Carolina's situation with its goaltending is curious to me because, Tony, historically, if you get a goaltender, one guy can change the whole, set the tone for the playoffs or change it. And Carolina's got the situation with Bussy, who was 31-6-2 in the regular season, is a rookie. He was basically acquired or taken to be a depth goaltender. Depth. Stopped 18-21, was terrific. And they just did this because the goaltending coach there thought Anderson needed a rest. He hadn't played, a string of games consecutively, and he has in the playoffs. So I'm fascinated by that. It is sort of not the theme or the direction of playoff goaltending historically, and I wonder if there'll be any great meaning to it, but Vegas has got to solve at least one of them, if not both now.
Yeah. I'm going to get to Bussy in a second. I'm just going to start with the notion that a lot of people would say Carolina has achieved an advantage because they have regained home ice. But that feels like a mirage to me because each team has one on the road. The Bussy situation is quite interesting. This is his first playoff start, and he's starting it in the Stanley Cup Final Series. Yeah. I think he had gone undrafted. I know he's a Long Island boy, and it's sort of like a rags to riches story. In the third period, shots on goal 9, saves 9. You can't do any better than that in the third period. I'll tell you, Mike, that it looks like a 7-game series to me because I don't think there's been anything that indicates dominance so far, with one exception. Right. In the last 3 games, in the third periods of the last 3 games, I believe that Carolina has outscored Vegas 7-1. But there's so much scoring in the series that I don't think it matters. We go 5-4, 4-3, 5-4, 5-3. The two teams have combined for a record in the Stanley Cup Final that each team has had at least 3 goals in all 4 games. And they start pretty early. I mean, get to your seat early because it's exciting. They've had 8 first-period goals. There's no real lull. Yeah. It's been good.
And Tony,
it's been good. By the way,
it's exciting. It's exciting, and I don't think I was planning on that. I saw this matchup, and I'm like, Carolina, No. But it's been tremendous action throughout.
Do you remember P.K. Subban on this show said it was really important for Carolina to win, and he liked Bussy. He did. He was right.
He nailed it. Let's move to the NBA Finals, which continue tonight right here in the world's most famous arena in New York City. The NBA reviewed Victor Wembanyama's shove of Jalen Brunson in Game 3 and determined that a foul should have been called on the play, but not a flagrant. That's important because Wemby has 2 flagrant points in the playoffs already, and one more there would have gotten him within 1 flagrant of an automatic 1-game suspension. So, Tony, is the NBA right not to have retroactively assessed a flagrant to the Spurs start there?
I don't know if they're right. You're looking back 24 hours later. I don't know if they're right. When you saw it in real time, it looked like a flagrant foul, but I understand them not giving a flagrant 1 there when the foul wasn't even called in the game itself. So I understand that. But let me take the cynical point of view before you take the cynical point of view, which is this. If you go over that threshold, and they don't want him to have another point, because if you hit that threshold and go over that threshold, that's a suspension. Do you think that they want Victor Wembanyama out of this series? Are you insane? The ratings of this series have been very, very good for two specific reasons. There's a New York team in it, and Victor Wembanyama is in it. If you sit him down, not as many people are going to watch, and the money is going to go down. Let me just say this: the next time he gets a flagrant foul, it's because everybody in America sees that and goes, "Oh my, that's a flagrant
like the elbow
foul."
in the Minnesota series. Yes, Tony. You know I agree with you completely down the line on this. Look, it's up to the Knicks to handle this. Handle it. There's been some funny suggestions today from a lot of people saying the Knicks should make Dolan the owner and Charles Oakley make up and bring Charles Oakley into the Knicks locker room before the game to deliver a little pep talk that goes something like this. If Victor Wembanyama walks through the lane untouched one time, I will take out everybody in this Knicks locker room. You know, with Oakley wearing his 34 jersey. Let the Knicks settle this, not the league. I mean, look, it should have been called. I would have called it.
Yeah.
But don't tell me a day later it's to be called. I don't want to hear that. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to see it. Don't get involved.
The people on TV identified it and said it was flagrant. That wasn't the only thing he did. He threw Jose Alvarado around like a rag doll. This is apparently the way he plays. But, Mike, it is risky business going back in time and assessing fouls like that.
That's right. What else might you see?
I would not have done that. Yeah, wouldn't have done it either. I wouldn't have done that.
We're in agreement.
No. Okay, that's rare, but it's good. In case you didn't know it, with the hockey and the basketball finals that we've just talked about, the World Cup starts tomorrow. It is the largest World Cup field ever, 48 teams. The United States will begin their play on Friday in Los Angeles against Paraguay. Last night in their final friendly, defending champion Argentina beat Iceland, and nearly 39-year-old Lionel Messi scored a goal on a penalty kick. Wilbon, you love soccer. You have gone to Premier League games. What are aspects or stories that you find most compelling about this upcoming World Cup?
I got a ton of them. And like you, I'm going to the glasses because I want to look at my notes. How about starting with one of the host countries, Canada, U.S., Mexico, make a deep run. Only 8 countries have actually won the World Cup. Is there a newbie that could be crowned at the end of this? Portugal, Morocco, or teams people are suggesting could be. The weather is a story. Hot and humid, and decidedly does not favor the European teams. The Brits have even been training in Florida with some technology or device that can cool their players' palms and allegedly lower body temperature. I find this hysterically funny. Can Messi at 38 and Ronaldo at 41 have a burst of greatness left in them? Messi is sort of indicated he's okay if he's not playing all the time. Ronaldo, not so much. But Ronaldo has maybe the best team he's ever had around him. When he was at his greatness, Portugal didn't have that many players. Harry Kane was great for Bayern Munich this year. Can he lead England deep? Can France's results match his talent with Mbappe and Dembele? Will Lamine Yamal go Wembanyama and Shohei on the world? And how come nobody's talking about Brazil? So those are the things I care about and will be watching for starting tomorrow. I am fired up for World Cup.
This is like a master class from you, all the soccer knowledge. They're going to cool their palms. What do you care about your palms for? You don't use your hands in soccer, except for the goalie. Exactly. What do you care about
Cools
that?
Your body, your whole body.
You said palms. Most of the time, when I ask you a question like, who do you like? You go, I just want to watch the game. Leave me alone. Don't ask me who the favorite is. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know anything about soccer because I don't. I will pay attention to the stars whose big names over the years I've come to know, like Ronaldo at 41. What's he got left? And Messi, 38. But I will say this. I learned this today. You would think, Messi's the biggest star in the United States because he went to the MLS. He's the biggest star we've got in soccer. You wouldn't think that Argentina, Iceland would be a big draw. I was told today they got 88,000 people at Jordan Hare on the campus of Auburn. That's got to be all Messi, right?
It's Messi.
That's all Messi. And I talked to
Tony.
I talked to Taylor Twellman about this. Yeah, but there's not that many Argentinian fans around here. In Auburn, I wouldn't think. I talked to Taylor Twellman, who said, look, it's very important that the United States do well in group. And our group is Paraguay and Turkey and Australia. It doesn't seem that daunting. And he said it's very important to win the first game. It's something like, not to win the game, not tie it, something like 92% of the teams that win the first game move on to the next round. So if you beat Paraguay, that's a big deal. And it's a big deal, he told me, if Chris Richards is healthy, which he apparently is. So let's take a break. Coming up, will the Knicks be more physical with Victor Wembanyama tonight? We're going to ask Tim Legler.
They better be. We'll also ask him why the Knicks are minus 13 with Jalen Brunson on the floor. Tony, Argentina has fans like the Yankees or the Lakers or the Celtics
really?
or the
All
Cowboys.
over the world?
They have, yes. And they don't just not residing in. Tony, this is a
like
worldwide sport, not the NFL, just between our shores.
I know, but it's not that big
Worldwide.
here. It's not as big
Worldwide.
here as
It is that
in
big
other
here.
countries.
You're just
Really?
not
Where
into
have I
it
been?
here.
I guess I've been
I
watching
don't know.
basketball too much. Dump the NBA.
Too much golf.
So let's get back into tonight's Game 4 between the Spurs and the Knicks with our great and longtime friend, ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler. Let me start with this with Mike Brown. Mike Brown pointed out after the game the free throw disparity in favor of the Spurs in the second half of Game 3, something like 24-8 or something like that, if my memory serves me correctly. Do you think the Knicks deserve to get more calls?
I think the Knicks definitely, I think the Spurs rather benefited more so from the whistle. I just didn't think it was necessarily a one-sided whistle. And I think here's really what my point was with that the other night. You have to adjust to the way the game is being officiated. And if they're going to allow some of the off-ball grabbing, some of the holding on cuts, even some of the stuff we saw on ball handlers, if you get a feel for that as a defender, that they're going to allow that, you have to adjust defensively. And I thought that the Spurs took advantage of the way the game was being called to a greater degree than the Knicks were able to. And I think I'm curious to see how the game is officiated tonight, like particularly early in the game when the officiating crew is trying to set the tone, because all you really want is going to be consistency. I'm curious to see how much holding, grabbing, bumping, hitting, post play, all that they're going to allow early in the game. First 6-8 minutes of the game sets the tone for the entire thing. So I do think the Spurs benefited from it, but I also don't think that's the main reason they lost the game.
Well, Tim, I mean, that's a great segue, allows for a great segue to this. Practically speaking, what would being more physical with Victor Wembanyama, what would that look like? How would the Knicks actually go about that with their personnel?
Well, one of the things they allowed to happen in Game 3, which they didn't do much of in the first two, they allowed free runs for him out of screening situations right into the lane without getting hit, chipped, bumped, held, just get in front, impede his progress. They did a much better job of that in the first two games. They got away from that for some reason in Game 3, and I felt like it set him up for the entire night. In addition to taking him off of Karl Anthony Towns, I thought that was a great adjustment. He wasn't being attacked and having a guy drive right at him, and all the work that you have to do with Karl Anthony Towns where you have to guard him, protect the rim, then close back out to the three-point line. They put him down on the baseline. I think it conserved his energy, but on the other end, he had a lot of free runs into the lane to start his night. 4 dunks right out of the gate. And now Victor Wembanyama is feeling pretty good about himself offensively, and as you can see, by far his best offensive game of the series.
Nobody is going to suggest anything other than Jalen Brunson with this Knicks team is the best player on it and largely a reason why they're in these finals. But Jalen's a minus 13 in this series, Legs. I mean, what do we read into that? Can we make too much of it? What do you think of it?
It's a little bit skewed, and I'm going to tell you why, because you know that Jalen Brunson's going to be on the floor at the start of the game. And in fact, Jalen Brunson plays all of or most of the first quarter pretty much every night if he's not in foul trouble. They've had 3 incredibly slow starts. In fact, the cumulative biggest deficits they faced, if you add it up, it's about a minus 30 in the first quarter. He's on the floor for most of that. I'm not putting that all on Jalen Brunson. They have been a slow starting team. The Spurs have been a hot starting team in this series. So if you just take a look at that, in addition, you know he's going to be on the floor for most of the third quarter. The third quarter of Game 3 was another big run for the San Antonio Spurs. So I'm not going to put this all on Brunson. Look, he also has to be better. He knows that. He's got to be more efficient. And I feel like he thinks he's close, that he's missed some shots he normally makes, or his numbers could look a lot different. He feels like he's right there. If he continues to get the same looks, he thinks he's going to knock him down one of these nights at a much higher rate. I also think they need to get the ball in his hands a little bit more to help him conserve some energy, not having to handle a ball against elite defensive guards.
We will get you out of here on this. This is the fourth game of this series. The road teams have won the first three games of this series. How much does home court advantage? How much does that really count anymore?
I tell you what, Tony, it feels like, and just the data backs it up, it does feel like it's easier these days to go on the road and get a win. I mean, it's never easy, but it's being pulled off more than it ever has, including game sevens. Teams can win game sevens on the road now. It used to be, it was like a death sentence if you had to go on the road for a game seven in the NBA. That's not the case anymore. And I'll tell you what, in this series, I think for the Knicks at home, it's palpable how badly everybody in this building wants this to happen for this team because of how long it's been. And I think that can make you just a little bit more jittery maybe at the start of the game. Maybe if the game's tight late, it's a little bit different rising up to take those shots sometimes. It's great to feel the home energy, but sometimes the enormity of it can be too big. And I think I'd like to see if the Knicks can shrink that a little bit and just get laser focused possession by possession, do what they need to, particularly defensively against San Antonio, to keep their guards out of the lane, do a better job more physically with Victor Wembanyama, and be more relaxed when the time comes to close the game in the fourth quarter, particularly some of their role players that maybe didn't shoot as well in game three as you want them to.
As you know, it's our great pleasure to have you, Tim. Thank you so much.
Great
for being
to have
on.
you, Legs. Appreciate you. See you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Absolutely.
Tonight's game starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Shohei is back on the mound tonight. What should we expect?
And Serena's.
Happy time, people. Happy 75th birthday, Dan Fouts. The Hall of Fame quarterback was drafted out of Oregon in the third round of the 1973 draft by the San Diego Chargers. Fouts played all 15 seasons of his career with the Chargers. Over the years, his favorite targets included Kellen Winslow, Charlie Joyner, and John Jefferson. For his career, Fouts completed 3,297 passes for 43,040 yards, 254 touchdowns, 242 interceptions. Fouts led the NFL in passing yards 4 times and in touchdown passes twice. Fouts went to 6 Pro Bowls, but never to a Super Bowl. His Chargers were defeated twice in the AFC title game.
Throwing the football was so difficult then, Tony, because people went down the field. They didn't throw swing passes behind the line of scrimmage 8 or 10 times and have that count toward their completions. They put the ball down the field in harm's way. So guys like Fouts and Marino, I don't care how many picks they threw. They went for it. It was dynamic and exciting.
Happy anniversary, Detroit Pistons. On this day 36 years ago, in Game 3 of the 1990 NBA Finals, the Bad Boys beat the Trailblazers in Portland for the first time since 1974. Not only did the Pistons finally end their losing streak, but they won all 3 games in Portland to win their second consecutive NBA championship. The Pistons then became only the 3rd franchise to win back-to-back championships after the Lakers and the Celtics. The previous year, Detroit swept the Lakers for the title. The Bad Boys were led by Isaiah Thomas and were bolstered by Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, Buda Edwards, and Vinnie Johnson.
A guy you and I like tremendously, Tony, Rick Mahorn, wasn't listed there because he only played for one of those Pistons teams. The expansion draft came along 2 days later and rerouted Mahorn to Philadelphia through Minnesota, which was an expansion team. Suppose the Pistons' style of play was seen and understood by people today. They'd go crazy, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Wembanyama wouldn't have an open line to the basket, I'll tell you that. Happy trails to last night's game for the Braves. Atlanta was 1 out away from beating the White Sox in 10 last night when Chicago rookie Braden Montgomery, playing his first game in the majors, hit a 2-run walk-off homer. The 23-year-old is a former first-round pick of the Red Sox who came over in the deal for Garrett Crochet. Montgomery is the 12th player to make his major league debut for the White Sox this season. This team is somehow 35-31 after having lost a combined 324 games over the previous 3 seasons.
Unbelievably, Tony, they're the exciting baseball team in Chicago this summer. I think I'm going to have to make a little trip to 35th and Shields to see the Southsiders.
I'm sure they'll give you free food if you go there. Let's go to the big finish. Serena's doubles partner retired from her singles match today with an injury. That's cause for concern, right?
Yeah, because they've got a match. They have a match scheduled for tomorrow, so we haven't got a late word update on that. The A's hit 5 homers in last night's 7-5 win over the Brewers in Vegas. Significant?
What happened to them? They had 7 the night before. The Lynx beat the Wings for their 8th straight win. You impressed?
Olivia Miles, who had 24 points, isn't just the Rookie of the Year. She may be the MVP the way she's playing. Shohei starts tonight against the Pirates. Are you intrigued?
Yeah, I mean, he's got an 0.74 ERA. He may be the greatest baseball player of all time. I want to watch it. Last one, refs gave Brazil 8 red cards. 8 in a 1-0 loss to the U.S. women last night. Your reaction?
Talk about physicality and finishing with 9 players.
8 red cards?
Is there a flagrant to be assessed later on that?
Was one of them the Queen of Hearts? It's always your best friend. We're out of time. We'll try to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. And now,